Hooty hoo, all my stock market gamblers. Welcome today. I'm Tall Mike. So glad you're here. Well, what's going on in the markets? Well, we hit that 40,000 number. 40,000 on the Dow. That's a new record. What others hit new records? The S&P hit a new record. QQQ hit a new record. And 40,000 on the Dow Jones Industrial Average. We're off to the races. Maybe. I'd use a little bit of caution here, right? Okay, so as long as we stay above the 20-day, above the 50-day, it probably going to push it up a little higher, right? But once you break the 20-day, once you break through the 50-day, I'll be taking another shot on the downside. But right now, the market's going up. The market's continue its upward pattern. Okay, but it's getting overbought. It's a little bit overbought right here. I'd be using some caution. Do I think this is going to end well? Do I think these new record highs are going to end well? No, I don't. Do I think there's a reason we should be at record highs? No, I don't. The only reason we're at record highs is because we can't stop printing money. We have to print more and more and more and more, and we're going to print money into oblivion. That's just my take. And yes, we could probably push it up, right? If we print twice as much money as in existence, we could probably get this to 100,000 on the Dow, right? I mean, we're 35 trillion in debt. Maybe if we go 70 trillion, 100 trillion, we could probably get the Dow to 100,000. I think we could pretty easy, right? But that's the only reason the real economy is not doing that well. All right, here's some things. Let's get over to the real estate end and talk about this a little bit. All right, so in real estate, in most areas, inventory starting to surge up 30% in most areas. 30% rise in inventory. Okay, that's interesting. All right, what else is surging? Well, price reductions. Price reductions are surging. 25% of homes that are listed on the MLS have already had a price reduction. Why would they have a price reduction? Oh, because they didn't sell. But wait, isn't this the selling season? Isn't this the time when homes sell? Oh, but yet 25% of them not selling, have to reduce the price. Very interesting. Now what's coming? What's coming next, right? What else is going to surge next? Let me think. I'm going to say it's probably going to be mortgage rates, right? Right now, you're over 7%. You're heading to 8%. I think you're going to blow past 8%, hit 9, hit 10%, probably get up to as high as 12%. What's that going to do to your home value? Well, in your area, it's probably going to make them go up. But in most of the world, that's going to put pressure on home prices. Going to start sending them down. Look at 12% of FHA mortgages are already in delinquency, meaning people can't pay. People are not paying on their FHA mortgages. 12%, that's a high number, by the way. You get 12% foreclosures, and you can kiss any equity you have goodbye, right? Okay, so let's talk about the consumer here. Now, I think the consumer's in trouble, and they just came out with the report that, well, consumer sentiment tumbles. Why would it tumble? Well, it tumbles because the consumer is getting ravished by inflation, right? Inflation, prices keep going up. And the consumer's starting to feel the pinch. The homeowner's starting to feel the pinch. He can't afford his bills anymore, can't afford that electric bill, can't afford his property taxes, can't afford to fix the house. House is starting to fall apart, but he's got no money to fix it. Why? Because that inflation thing. Inflation's starting to take off. Right now, they'll tell you, but Mike, inflation number just came out. We were at 3.5 now we're at 3.4. Look, they're telling you inflation's going down. Prices are still going up, still going higher, right? Okay, maybe they finagled the number to drop it by 0.1%. Maybe. I don't believe those numbers. I don't know. Do you leave the house? I leave the house. I get out there. I shop. I go to the store. I buy things, right? There's no way that we're running at a 3.4% inflation rate. You double that, I still think that's a very conservative number. And that would be 7%. I think we're closer to 10, but you can go with 3.4 if you want to believe the government. But I think they have ulterior motives, right? They want to get someone reelected. That's just my take. He can't get reelected if we say there's a 7% inflation rate. It never happened. Consumer, though, the consumer can feel it. Consumer sentiment tumbling, right? Okay. Consumers make up 70%. 70% of the GDP is the consumer, and the consumer's in trouble. So how are they going to help the consumer? Are they going to fight inflation? Well, if they were, they would have to raise the rates up higher than the inflation. Now, I say inflation's at 7%. You'd have to get it up to 8 or 9%. Can they raise the rate up to 8 or 9%? Not a chance. Never going to happen. Politically impossible. Why? Well, because they crashed the banking system. What else would they crash? Crash the federal government. Now, look at. Okay, the federal government's in trouble. We're going to talk about that in a second. But okay, so if they raise the rate to fight the inflation, does that help the consumer? Not really. No. Well, but Mike, when inflation be coming down, then was that going to help them? Look, you got higher interest rates. What's higher interest rates going to do? Going to make the car interest higher when you go buy a car. Going to make your mortgage, right? Going to get them up to 10, 12%. That might make houses affordable again. You get those up to 10, 12%. Credit cards, they're off the chart right now. Record high, right? 1.1 trillion or something like that. Record high amount, but also record high interest rate. I mean, the cheap credit cards are now 23%. More expensive ones are running 30%. I mean, these credit card companies basically just declared war on every American out there. You can't carry a balance. You carry a balance, I mean, you're going to get clobbered. You're going to get ravaged. So they can't fight the inflation. If they do fight the inflation, you're going to get interest rates so high that people have to stop buying. So they would crash everything, right? Well, they're not going to do that. Don't worry about that. We both know what they're going to do. Me and you know what they're going to do. They're going to print money, right? So what are they going to do? Well, you're going to need to get more credit cards. Look at average American. Okay, let's say they have 3, maybe 4 credit cards, right? Okay, you know what the average balance on each one is? $6,500. You got 3 of them, you're $20,000 just on your credit cards, and you're paying close to 30% interest. This is terrible. This does not end well. The consumer is in a world of hurt. A world of hurt. Look, I'm telling you, we're going into a Great Depression. You can tell me we're not in a recession. Now, I don't believe you, but you can tell me that. You can listen to the mainstream. We're doing great. Best economy ever. I'm telling you, we're in a recession now. We're going to be headed to the depression. And I don't think there's any way out. There's no way out of the Great Depression that's coming. It's going to happen. Now, could it be a hyperinflation depression? Hyperinflation depression? Probably going to start that way. Then maybe things crash down if they have any desire to fight the inflation. They cannot fight it. The banks are going to fall over like dominoes. Your government's going to default. The government defaults. Who's ever heard of that, right? Well, they're going to inflate their way out of this. They have to. But that's what's ravaging the consumer. Consumer's in big trouble. Now, to me, it looks like we're going to go to hyperinflation. That's just my take, right? I mean, look, right now we pay $1 trillion, $1 trillion. $1 trillion every year of your tax dollar goes to pay the interest, just the interest on the debt. Doesn't pay off the debt. No, the debt keeps growing. 35 trillion, 40 trillion, 50 trillion. It's going to keep growing. Just 1 trillion just to pay the interest. And then next year, it's going to be 2 trillion. $2 trillion. $2 trillion. That's half of all tax money coming in right now. And tax money is going to start to drop off when we hit the depression. Well, they'll call it the recession. You can't say the D word. Not on mainstream media. No, everybody's afraid of that. The women and children will get frightened with the D word. But look, we're going to head that direction, all right? So, okay, $2 trillion, right? It's going to be more than half of all the money come in. I guarantee you at some point, we will be paying more in interest than we bring in, which means the government has no money to run the government on, right? Are they going to stop printing at that point? I mean, no, they're not going to stop printing at that point. They have to print more. They have to pay for everything with printing money. They have to keep paying out the interest rate, right? But they got to print all the money then. Now, this modern monetary theory that they teach in the economics class now is going to be put to the test. I say it's not going to end well. I say it's all going to come crashing down. But people tell you, Mike, he just goes on YouTube because that's what he likes to do. Likes to go out there on YouTube and cry wolf, get all the people frightened. You know, he's trying to sell you something. Please tell me. Please tell me what I'm trying to sell you. I'll sell you a house if you want to buy one. I don't think it's a good time to buy one. But that's really the only thing I sell is houses, and I still sell some of them. That's how I make my living, selling houses. I don't make my living from YouTube. I do this because it's fun, because I like talking about it. I hope you watch this because you like talking about it. Not a lot of people, they watch this because they hate it. They want to prove that Tall Mike's wrong. And that's okay. I want to be wrong. That's fine with me, right? Okay, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I have this all backwards. I don't think so. I don't think so. So I see hyperinflation. Okay, what else do I see? Well, I see that the debt is actually starting to matter, right? Starting to matter. Now people say, but Mike, we got 35 trillion in debt and nothing bad's happened. And you'd be absolutely right. But the bad stuff's on the way. Look at right now, we're in this crazy time, right? Right now, we're in that modern monetary theory. We can keep printing the money. We can keep adding to our debt. And that's a good thing because we have 120 trillion in unfunded liabilities, which we're going to have to monetize those soon. Well, how do we do that? We do that by printing more money, by adding to the debt. So when you get that debt up to 150 trillion and there's still not a problem, I will be very impressed, right? But that's what a lot of people tell me, that it's not going to matter. I'm telling you the debt's starting to matter, right? I think the debt is starting to matter. Now, when you get that number printed out there, 100 trillion, 150 trillion, here's what else I see. The purchasing power of the dollar bills you have in your wallet. Well, maybe you don't have any cash anymore. We're trying to go to a cashless society. They want to mark our every move. They don't want us spending cash. They want us to use credit cards so they can track our movements, so they can track our habits, so they can track our spending. Look, they're bringing in the CBDC. It's going to replace the dollar. They're going to replace the dollar bills. You know what that will do? That way they can move it to negative interest rates. You're going to see negative nominal interest rates where you have your money in the bank, 100,000 in the bank, and you leave it there for a year, you're going to have 95,000 in the bank. You leave it there another year, it's going to be 90,000. Once they get that CBDC in place, they can force you to spend your money. Because if you leave it in the bank, if you have any savings at all, they're going to tax it there. Well, it's not going to tax it. They're going to just take it. It's not even called a tax. It's called negative interest rates. That's why they want to bring the CBDC in, so they can bring the interest rates down below zero. So the money in the bank, they just confiscate, and that way it makes you spend more. Helps the economy, makes it the best economy in the world. But the dollar has lost its purchasing power, right? It's all gone right now. The only thing that's saving is some people still have confidence in it. Do you still have confidence? I've lost confidence in it. Look, I switched over to the gold and silver, right? That's where I want to store my money. I've lost confidence in the purchasing power of the dollar. Even when the bank says they'll give me 5%, even when they say they're going to give me 5% on a 10-year treasury bond, right? I guess it's down to 4.5 now. 4.5%, what's that going to do for me? Nothing. They're just inflating that away. They give me 4.5, but I know they're taking 10 out, right? They're taking 10 out in my purchasing power. It's going down. I don't want to be on that program anymore. I want to get on this gold and silver program. But my gold's at a record high. Gold's expensive now. Look, gold is cheap now. Silver is incredibly cheap. If you want a deal, get some silver, right? Costco has them back in stock. Last I checked, maybe already sold out now, right? It goes quick, right? They do $200 million a month just in gold and silver sales. That's a lot, right? People are starting to wake up. They don't want to be in that dollar. Why would you want to stay in the dollar? You're going to get destroyed there. Get your money out of the dollar. Get your money out of the banks. The banks are going to topple over, right? They're just going to fall one after the other. But Mike, the FDIC is coming in to save the day. That's right. They got to half a cent, 1/2 cent for every dollar, right? So if you got $100,000 in the bank, they'll give you maybe 500 of it back. They'll confiscate the rest until they figure it all out, till they reinstate us. We'll beg for that CBDC. Oh, please let us have the CBDC. That's what they want us to do. They want us to beg. They want us to beg for it. And we will. You just mark my words. People are dumb. They're going to start to beg for it. Please save us. Please save us, Jerome Powell. They think Jerome's their God, and that's pretty sad because he's pathetic in my opinion. This is just my take. Some days I just get carried away. Get out there, everybody. Have a great weekend. I'm Tall Mike. Give me the thumbs up first. Punch the subscribe button. We'll talk again next week. Bye-bye.